Comic books have a way of pulling us into incredible worlds, blending art and storytelling in a way that keeps us hooked for life. Today, we're taking a peek into the world of independent comics with a guest who's making his mark right here in Michigan. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson. Our guest today is the founder of Detroit-based independent publisher Mess Bucket Comics, home to titles like The Arcane Awakening and Donnybrook. Please join me in welcoming Dominic Riggio to the show. Dominic, you're here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad. And we've got so much to talk about today. You've got quite a body of work, is what I will put it that way.
Thank you.
So what got you into comics? Where did it all start?
Well, I always liked comics as a kid. You know, like most kids, I was reading these very intriguing stories at that age, and I liked the whole display of the artwork and everything, and I really enjoyed the storytelling. There's something that happens when you read a comic. Looking at a bunch of still pictures, it's between the panels where your brain puts the two together, and I thought that was such a cool thing. And later on in life, I thought I'd really like to be creative. I'd really like to create movies and television. And to get to that point, you need to have a fan base, you need to have money and connections, and I didn't have any of that. So I thought if I had something tangible in my hand, if I had a completed project where people could start to take me serious, then I could get, into the game and get an opportunity. So we came out with a comic book, and I just taught myself how to write. I learned the cost. I came up with the money, hired the artists, and it was a very rewarding experience being able to just take what's up here in my brain, put it on paper, and now I see it, in a book with colors or black and white or what it may be. So that was kind of how this whole thing got started.
Was there one moment or a defining moment where you can point back to or you think of where you're like, I know this is what I'm going to do for my life, the rest of my life? Yeah,
it was my first comic convention that I attended. Not that I attended, but I was there as a vendor. Yeah. And it was Wizard World Chicago 2012.
Okay, so you know the date even.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago. And I went there, and I had a great convention, but what really got me was before the convention started, I recently posted a picture of my very first table, and it's not good.
When you look at it now, right?
I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I had a couple banners behind me. I had a white banner with little black writing. I'm like, why would I do that? You can't read it. I had a bowl of candy, and I was trying to get people in, but I did well. I sold a lot of books. I made a little bit of money, and that fired me up. It was before that show, though. There was a custodian, and he's going there cleaning up right before it starts, and he looked at my table, and he's like, what is this, man? What is this? And I'm like, here, look through it, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I need this. And he bought the book before the show started. And the only thing is, I wish I would have got my picture with him. It was my very first customer, other than my mom and my sister, who said this is the greatest thing. Yeah. But that doesn't count.
Understood. But, understood.
But yeah, so it was basically the first convention where I did well, and it really made me believe that I could make this happen.
And to have that feedback from someone who sees your work and says, this is amazing.
Right, while he's doing something else. Yeah, and he kind of notices it. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So who were your influences? Are you like a Stan Lee fan, or like who was it that when you think back to you growing up? Yeah, of course, I enjoyed Stan Lee. I mean, he created so much. Yeah. He's one of the greatest. A guy named comic book writer Jeff Johns. Okay. I really appreciate. He's a Michigan guy too. And the Dark Knight Returns series and 300, and I can't recall his name that wrote those books, but I really just liked the storytelling format. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and I just had control of exactly what I wanted to look at. And the advantage of a comic, there's versus making a television show or a movie, the actors aren't going to show up late. They're not going to be in the wrong uniform. Right.
As far as that goes, the production is great. But yeah, I had so many influences and so many things that just helped me want to get here today.
And you're a native Detroiter from the Michigan area? Awesome. Yeah. Okay. How does that Detroit scene or Detroit culture or just being from this area, how does that come out in your work?
Well, probably with the hockey comics, I would say, this is Hockey Town.
Yes.
And I wanted to tell I played hockey. I played hockey today before we got here. So it was a big part of my life, but the culture, these hockey players are from another planet. I don't know how to describe their personalities or how they come to be that way. And I thought they were weird as a kid, and then not much longer I was acting just like them. So I think that had a big influence from the hockey side, and for two of my IPs that you see on the table there.
Yeah. And that definitely influenced you. You wanted to tell that story and be part of that culture.
Right. The main team that we follow in Donnybrook is the Michigan Massacre.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. And maybe there's a future for that. You know what I mean? Who knows,
so.
Right?
Yeah.
I look at just all the work that you've done. I imagine, you of course told us the story, and it's like, well, I did this, I did that, I was influenced, and here I am today, right? Like that.
Right.
Hurdles along the way? Big ones?
Constant hurdles, even today. And then there's going to be more coming, I'm sure.
How did you keep going?
It was, it's one of those things where it's only going to work if you love it. I sacrificed a lot. At this point, I told you, 2012 was when it first started. I've done over 300 conventions, signings.
Oh my gosh.
Wrestling conventions, hockey games, comic conventions.
Yeah.
And to do this year, in 2024, I did 41 appearances.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's not something you're going to do if you don't want to do it most of the time.
Sure.
So it's passion is what gets me through it.
And the energy in those different places you mentioned, whether it's a sporting event or a Comic-Con, I mean, there's that to imagine going to 40 of those.
Right.
I'm tired just listening to you.
All across the country too.
Yeah.
I've gone to California and Texas and Arizona, Florida, Canada. We might go over to the UK this year. And when you go into a new area, I don't know the audience and what they want.
Yeah.
But when you do well in those areas you haven't been to, it's good for confidence.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're just getting started here. We'll be right back and we'll take a deeper dive into Dominic's creative process, how he brings his characters to life, and the challenges of being an independent publisher. It's not all roses, right? Stay tuned. We'll see you.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in, help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and we are here with comic book creator and publisher Dominic Riggio of Mess Bucket Comics. Walk us through your creative process. Give me a little glimpse into how does it happen?
Well, yeah, this is a madhouse up
I was going to say, let me take a look in there and see what's going on.
So I try to wrangle it in a little bit when I have an idea, and I start with that. And I kind of I write out scenes, and then from there I start to expand it and then trim the fat, and then it's when I really go. And I write a comic book script, and it's halfway between a comic book script and a movie script, you know. the nice part is when it's your project, I can write this however I want. I don't have to turn it into anybody.
There you go.
I'm turning it into myself. But yeah, like just when I have a little morsel of an idea that I think is good, I sit on it and I put it all out there and then, see what works.
How much, I think about this with writers or artists. How much time do you spend before you actually like put pen to paper or commit something? Is there a lot going on up here, or is your process more like, let me just start messing around and see what comes out?
That's a good question. I write down, if I just have an idea, I just have a bunch of ideas that I write down, and then I kind of, when you're writing, at least for me, it starts to come out like a faucet that you didn't even know you turned on. And it's just, you can barely keep up with it. My brain's going 100 miles an hour. I'm going about 30 with or I'm typing or writing or whatever it is like that. When that happens, for me, it's usually a really good sign that this is something I really want to do and that there's a lot of meat on the bones. So I usually take one of the ideas, I go with it. And if that happens where I'm having a blast and it's just coming out, then I usually go with it.
Do you see in your mind's eye, if you will, like visuals too, or are you more story? Or both?
I see the visuals for certain things. Usually the more important things, or just something, a little funny thing. Oh, this panel is going to look this way, and I'll make a little note for the artist later. For me, as I'm a writer, I'm not the artist for any of these. I hired them all, so I'll take credit for all their work. But I'm a writer. I try to get just an idea down and go from there. But every once in a while, I'll have the visual.
And you speak about the artists and the work again. I love the look of each of the different comic books. It's just awesome. How do you pick the right artist? Like, I have to imagine that's difficult because you've got this idea in your mind and then trying to find the right person. What's your process been for that?
Well, I usually put the artist through a bunch of physical and mental pain, and whoever survives at the end.
It's you.
like an episode of Survivor or something.
Yeah.
Each artist brings something different to the table for the style and the art that I'm looking for. Some artists are talented enough to do different styles for different things, but most of the guys that I've hired, I've met through conventions and enjoyed their artwork, and go through and say, hey, you want to make some money? You want to do it? You want a book? You want your page rate? And it's certain artists fit certain things for what I'm trying to do.
Well, I want to talk about this piece here, Darren McCarty, Life is a Grind, Enjoying My Truth. How did this come to be?
So I've known Darren for a while. When the story of how I met him is actually in the book. We were literally talking about video games, this game called Final Fantasy VII. He stopped and talked to us and demanded we explain to him how to breed a gold chocobo in the game. This is going down a nerdy rabbit hole.
It's okay, I'm there. I'll go part of the way with you, but I won't go all the way.
But long story short, it was a very humorous interaction, and we gave him the instructions and everything. And later on, through my charity event with the Alumni Red Wings, I said, hey, I want to do a story on your life.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much on board right away. And he was my number one choice. He's not a big name like a Wayne Gretzky or something like that, but his story is so intriguing.
And around these parts, he is a big deal. I mean, especially for people of a certain age, you just, you think of Detroit hockey, you think of people like Darren McCarty. Right.
And it's motivating too. He fell down and got up so many times, and just kept getting up and coming back better than he was previously. So. What
has the reaction been to this particular book?
Oh my God, very, very good. I've set up. Mess Bucket Comics is set up at the Detroit Red Wings games at Little Caesars Arena with Darren. We've had big lines, and they talked about us on the program. We've gone to minor league hockey games. I've gone to conventions with him. It's been great. It's even better than I envisioned, to be honest. Yeah, and a lot of that, I have to give Darren a ton of credit. He's been a champion for it, and he's been pushing to get it out there as well.
I was going to ask what his reaction was to it, because I imagine that it's got to be a little intimidating when you're creating something and saying, okay, here it is, you know.
He eats it up. He's a ham. He's all about it. You know, he's like, well, this is a little different. We'll put it there. But overall, he kind of let me run with it, which is great. And I'm very proud of them. That's my most recent book, and we're still touring with it now. We're coming up on stuff coming up in conventions and stuff. So it's been exactly what I wanted and more.
Oh, awesome. And to just, again, a hometown hero, to be able to tell that story in this way. What has that meant to you?
Oh, it means a lot. I mean, I grew up as a Red Wings fan, and I was watching on TV like everybody else, but getting the story from Darren and hearing it from his brain and his mouth, it was like being a fly on the wall. Like I was still there. He's a very vivid talker and explained it all. So just to have this little portion of something as big as the Detroit Red Wings and their heyday in the 4 Stanley Cups has been very rewarding.
And an obligation, too. I imagine there's like a responsibility as a storyteller. And I know we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I'd love to hear that, because that's got to be kind of heavy, too, right? Like telling the story of a great.
Sure, so, absolutely.
Well, again, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we'll talk about the future of Mess Bucket Comics, upcoming project, and what's next for Dominic. Stay with us.
So we were walking to school.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart.
want cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't have
I really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have another bad day
today.
at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
So, are you going out tonight? I can't. My parents say I have to be home right after work. That's so gay.
Totally gay.
Ugh, that is so Emma and Julia. Why are you saying that's so Emma and Julia? Well, you know, when something is dumb or stupid, you say that's so Emma and Julia.
Who says that?
Everyone.
Imagine if who you are were used as an insult. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch.
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and I'm joined by comic book writer and publisher Dominic Riggio of Mess Bucket Comics. Okay, you've had a lot of success. Congratulations. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And what always comes when you have a lot of success is someone asking you this question, this obnoxious question.
Right.
What's next? What are you doing now? What are you working on? But what are you working on?
Well, comics-wise, the next book that will come out is British Bulldog UK Defender. So the first one was Rowdy Roddy Piper, the Kilted Avenger. He's a talk show host by day, vigilante by night, old school wrestler.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this old school wrestler.
Right. So we're going to put out 4 comics with wrestlers and their superhero counterpart, a little deviation of what you know them from in pro wrestling. So that's going to come out in a month or so. We're going to put Donnybrook 5 out, and then we also want to expand and make Donnybrook into a TV pilot.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so we're finishing the paperwork up on that. And like I said, that's why I wanted to start it, to see if I can get into TV and movies. So I'm very, very excited about that. And Darren McCarty and Brian O'Halloran from Clerks are a part of that as well.
Oh my gosh, I did see some Jay and Silent Bob stuff when I was looking about, like, just reading up on you. And I was like, oh, wow, there we go.
Yeah, I worked with Brian O'Halloran, is the owner of one of the fictional teams in the comic book,
how funny.
the Hell's Kitchen Heathens.
Yeah.
And Darren is the owner of the Burnaby Blazers, Stone Lumberjacks from Western Canada, if you can imagine that.
Well, yes, and I happened to see that you can actually purchase the jerseys.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course.
That is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you talk about, possibly getting into, like, different media than comic books. What do you hope happens with this?
I want to do everything. I want to make television and film and video games and more merchandise, hockey jerseys, and just get it out there. The things I have very crazy ideas for merchandise that I think will work. Nobody else seems to, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, I just basically anything where I can get the word out on the books and the stories, I'm willing to do.
So it sounds like there's a lot more stories you have to tell too.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely.
Awesome. This seems like it was just a dream come true for you, like something that you really got excited about. You put the work in, and here you are, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about anyone who might be watching the show, or maybe your artists out there right now who are younger, who are like, gosh, I'm just not sure I could ever have that level of success or achievement, what would you say to them?
Don't do it. I don't need any more competition. This is hard enough for me to get to where I am without more competition. So just, I don't know, take a nap, find another work that you could do. No, but I kind of took a different approach, an unorthodox way. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just went in and did it. My personality, that I've been told, is conducive to that type of behavior where I just don't care and I'm not worried about rejection. It happens to me all the time. Girls always reject me. That's fine. It happens all the time. I'm okay with it. But just being able to do it and not fear the rejection is almost necessary, at least for what I'm trying to do, if I'm putting my company name on there and starting from nothing. So the best advice I could give is just go for it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. The more time you think, it's never going to be perfect. Even if you go to school for it and everything, it's a completely different thing when you're actually in it. Yeah. So just go for it.
Okay, we're going to put out their dream collaboration. If there's anyone you could work with, who would it be?
Probably Kevin Smith. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan.
Yes, yes.
And he's going to be a part of the Donnybrook series for season 2. But I'd like him to be a part of like a Donnybrook movie or TV show, and it's not an impossibility at this point, right? Which is wild to think of. And before I got started, if somebody told me that, I'd be like, "You're out of your mind. That's impossible."
I was going to say, go back to 9-year-old you. Did you ever think you'd be here today, doing what you're doing?
I think back then all I cared about was Skittles and just not doing homework and sleeping in. But no, to answer your question, no way. Not a chance. Yep.
How awesome that you are.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? You've got, as I mentioned, you've got awesome swag. You've got these great comic books. Where can we find you?
Okay. Everyone, you got to take your fat little fingers out of the Cheetos bag and type in messbucketcomics.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram @messbucketcomic, where you can get all of our books. You can get some signed by Brian O'Halloran, Darren McCarty, cute little plush toys, hockey jerseys, seasons beatings, postcards with Darren McCarty signed for a great Christmas gift. Now, I don't know if you give this to someone you like or you don't like, but it's available. Everything can be found there, and please give us a follow if you're interested for some upcoming cool stuff.
Do you have a favorite? Okay, you knew I was going to ask this question. If you had to pick one thing, like if you had to go to a desert island and all you could pick is one thing that you've created, what would you take with you?
Oh, man. Probably the McCarty book, because it's 180 pages and it's way longer than any of the other ones. If I'm on a desert island, I want content at that point.
Awesome. Now, will there be maybe another volume to this? Perhaps it could be like Darren's Adventures Part 2, because he's still adventuring.
Oh, yeah, he wants many more volumes. Yeah, he wants to keep it going. Yeah, potentially, yes.
A coffee table book,
right.
something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon.
No, he's speeding up. He's out of his mind.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Awesome. Well, this has been so inspiring, just hearing you talk about all these different things and taking me back to my 1980s Saturday watching wrestling. By the way, why did you pick that? Why did you pick Rowdy?
So I was approached by a company called Pro Wrestling Tees and the Piper Estate. So the Piper Estate signed off on all of this.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the Piper book and the McCarty book kind of all happened at the same time. And I was like, wow.
Those are big projects to be working on at the same time.
And I was really, right before that, there's a saying, success is right next to failure or something like that. I was getting burned out. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So this needs to lead to something and go somewhere.
Yeah.
And then those two things came right after I was like, all right, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep doing it. And then bang, bang. I'm like, whoa. Wow, that's interesting how that works.
And then be careful what you wish for, because then you'll get two things that are like all encompassing at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's never spread out.
No,
it's all
that's
at the
how life
same
is.
time.
I feel the same way. I feel like that is exactly how my life has gone. Just when I think like, oh yeah, I'm going to just work on this other great thing comes along. Well, we're really glad these great things came along and that you've shared your talents, your knack for storytelling, and just your sense of fun with the world and these creations. And I'm really glad that you spent your time here in Celebrate Michigan today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you
so much. And Dominic, we're just so fantastic having you. And we are so fantastically happy that we've had you all here with us in the audience. You heard us hearing Dominic's passion for storytelling, independent comics, and we're just so glad you could celebrate all the great things that are happening in Michigan. So we'll see you next time where we continue to celebrate.